A max-funded IUL is far better than a 529 college savings plan. In this educational episode, I'm going to address the question, is there a college savings plan that is tax-free even if you don't use the money to pay for college? I'm going to share one with you next, so stay tuned. My name's Doug Andrew, and I've been a financial strategist and retirement planning specialist now for more than 48 and a half years, helping thousands of people optimize their assets and minimize taxes, and meeting with thousands of people primarily to make sure that they save enough for retirement so they will not outlive their money, to accumulate their money tax-free, and then be able to access that money income tax-free, and be able to not outlive their money due to the negative impact of taxes, inflation, and market volatility. Well, when I meet with people for that primary goal, usually I will ask them, are you setting aside money for your children or maybe your grandchildren for their college education? Many people do that, and they will usually say, yes, we are socking away money into a 529 college savings plan. And I go, ugh. And they go, well, what's wrong with that? Well, not so much what's wrong with that, but what it doesn't allow you to do. So when I tell them that they can use a max-funded IUL, structured correctly and funded properly, which then qualifies to be what I call a laser fund. Laser is an acronym that stands for Liquid Asset Safely Earned Returns. I show them that there's a lot more flexibility and you don't have to jump through all these hoops like you do with a federally sponsored 529 college savings plan. In a nutshell, a 529 college savings plan allows you to set aside money and accumulate that money on a tax-favored basis. But there's some restrictions and limits on how much you can set aside. And also, when you're ready to start taking money out, how you take that money out, how you report that, because the government wants to make sure you are using that money for college education. If you don't use it for college education, there are a few ways that you can transfer it until somebody else in the family uses it, or that you're paying off student loans or whatever. But if you access that money for other purposes, not only do you trigger tax, but you can also incur a 10% penalty for premature withdrawals, just like maybe an IRA or 401k that you may tap into before the age of 59 and a half. I don't want all of those strings attached. So for years, I've been counseling people to set up a max-funded indexed universal life insurance contract or use their existing one that maybe they were using for retirement and put additional deposits into that to use for the same goals as a 529 plan with a lot more flexibility. So let's talk about how to do that. This would be like a private college savings plan. You're earmarking a set amount of money or maybe a particular indexed universal life insurance contract for college funding. Now, you can put in after-tax dollars, which I would recommend you do so that you can access that money totally income tax-free. But what are the advantages of an IUL policy, a laser fund, over a 529 plan? Well, I can set aside as much as I want into an IUL policy based upon the death benefit that's coming along for the ride, based upon my age, my gender, my health, or I can use a surrogate insured, but I can own it. And I can set aside thousands of dollars. There's no limits into what I can deposit into that IUL policy if I'm earmarking it for college funding for my children or maybe my grandchildren. Now, if I put money in and then I need to access some of that money for whatever reason, I can do that. I don't have to wait until college. I can access money. There's no tax that is triggered. There's no 10% penalty like you would have with a 529 plan. But if I happen to die, then the money inside the IUL policy will blossom and transfer income tax free. And you can name your children or grandchildren or a trust as the beneficiary that designates that money, that death benefit will go to fund college for your posterity. But it will blossom. So if I'm setting aside $500 a month or $1,000 a month or whatever it is, and I want to take the least amount of insurance that the IRS will let me get away with so that the money grows at a great internal rate of return. If you're going to average 11, I want a net 10. If I'm going to earn 9, I want a net 8. And so you want the cost of the insurance to be as small as possible. That's why you want to structure it correctly and fund it properly. Then it is qualified to be called a laser fund, okay? And so you're doing that, but still there's a minimum amount of insurance that's required. If I'm going to set aside $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year. The TEFRA and DEFRA tax citations dictate the minimum amount of life insurance that must be attached to the account in order for it to qualify to be totally tax-free. And so that death benefit could be $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, whatever, depending upon how much you're setting aside. And if you started to put in $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month into this college savings plan, and you happen to die in an accident or you got cancer or whatever, you would leave behind several $100,000 in a tax-free death benefit. A 529 plan does not do that unless you buy insurance to do that. So the insurance is coming along for the ride in an IUL policy so that if I'm socking away money and I happen to die, I know that that goal will still be met because the life insurance, I'm socking away, $12,000, $20,000 a year, whatever it is. But if I die, I leave behind $250,000 that then will allow them to go to college or what have you in that funding plan. And it's totally income tax free. So people say, well, how much does that cost? Well, nothing's free, but it doesn't really cost you anything because it's being paid for with otherwise payable income tax if you socked away that money in a normal savings account or what have you. You're actually going to earn a rate of return, let's say like I've averaged 11.17% and netted 10.07. So if you earn 11, you're netting 10. That 1% difference is the cost of the insurance that the IRS says has to be there in order for that money to be growing at an internal rate of return of 9 or 10%, whatever, totally tax-free. Does that make sense? And so I like the IUL as an alternative to save for college because I don't have the restrictions. I can put in whatever amount I want to. I can access the money for whatever reason I want. It doesn't have to be for college. And if I happen to die, it blossoms and fulfills the plan. But you wouldn't believe how many people tell me that they were using a 529 plan and then their child, got scholarships and didn't need the money for college. And so they wanted to use the money in the 529 plan, maybe for a down payment on their first home, or maybe to start a business. And they couldn't do that without having to pay tax on that money as it came out. Why did you do that? You could have had it be tax-free all along by using an IUL policy. So I maintain that if you're wanting to save money for your children, your grandchildren, for college, and you want to assist them in my family bank, I don't just pay for their college. I require skin in the game. They have to get good grades. They have to get a scholarship. Or if they're short on money, they borrow from the family bank. And this is where I get the money to loan my children or grandchildren if they need help with college. And then they can pay it back with cash later on once they graduate and start making money. Or they can work it off by mowing lawns or painting or shampooing carpets or whatever, because I've never believed in just paying for their college. I require some skin in the game, so to speak. You can learn about that in my book, Entitlement Abolition, because a lot of kids, if you just pay for everything, they get in an entitlement mindset. And I don't want my family to have that entitlement mindset. Will you pay for it? Can I have? But I still use an IUL policy to have the wherewithal to loan them or to match what they might earn in a scholarship or save. if they want a semester abroad, whatever my rules of governance say, that is what I use is an IUL contract to have the tax-free access to money anytime for any reason. It doesn't have to be just for college. So if this makes sense and you want to explore how you can set up a laser fund for your college savings, I would recommend you claim a free copy of this book, The Laser Fund. I will pay for the book. It's a 300-page book. It's been flying off of our warehouse shelves. We send out about 1,000 of these a month. I don't want you to miss out. You could go to Amazon and pay $20. It's 300 pages, jam-packed with charts and graphs and explanations, and also 62 actual stories of how many of our clients have used the Laser Fund, not only for retirement, but for goals such as college funding. So it's actually 2 books in one. This side is the left brain side with all the charts and graphs. This side is the right brain side with all the stories. So you can use your right brain or left brain, but here's how you claim your free copy for this 300-page book. You simply go to laserfund.com, L-A-S-E-R fund.com, or click on the link below. You contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I require some skin in the game. I'll cover the rest of that cost, and I will pay for the book. I'll fire out a copy to you, and check out there if you like to listen and learn, watch and learn. Maybe even you can attend one of our webinars that we hold on a regular basis. You can even schedule an appointment with an IUL specialist that will help you structure one correctly and fund it properly so it qualifies to be a laser fund. But this is about you, your family, and your brighter future.